Hi, I hope that this live stream will not break up. I'm sitting on a porch in the holy Shchuna, the holy neighborhood of Crown Heights, Brooklyn. And hang on, oh shoot. I don't know if I have the new banner or the old banner. I can't even tell. Can't even see it. This is supposed to be entitled Idol Worship and the War for Consciousness. So that's the theme. I can't read if that's what it's saying because I'm recording on my phone sitting on the porch. Anyway, sometimes my mind always is pretty much always active unless I'm meditating or in a healing session. Um, Sometimes it seems overactive, and sometimes it feels like ideas are rushing down through me. Insights are rushing down through me really quickly and in a way that hits me, that makes me feel like this is something important that I need to share. By the time I actually come online, there's a lot there, maybe too much to express, for sure too much to express in one live stream. This is the way life is. So I always have the intention that what needs to be said should be said. So hold that intention with me. So it's becoming very obvious as we come out of Simchas Torah, the high holidays, the Torah, the Jewish high holidays, many new lights and new decrees for the new year are brought down. The way that evolution works, the way that creation works is not only that every day or every moment new things are happening, which is also true, but that we have quantum leaps of new potential that come into the world at different times. And this is one of those times, a very powerful time. So it feels to me very much that we've kind of been pushed or thrown to the next level, almost like being shot out of a cannon, and that the potential now for our consciousness to transform and to create a new reality on the ground is amped up, way amped up. And I'm seeing this in personal miracles, like just having an intention or asking for something, barely asking for something, and having it show up in like literally miraculous ways. So I also want to say that one of the preparations, one of the shifts that we're meant to make is how we relate to God and God's world. And at its core, that transition is between relating to God through the systems of nature, so that some things God makes possible, some things he doesn't, some things you have to work for, some things, you'd have to work less hard for, some things you deserve, some things you don't. That's the old relationship. The new relationship is going directly to the creator, directly to the source, where you become a partner in creation, in enacting and revealing God's plan, and he becomes a partner with you. So you don't stop working. We're always here to change reality and to use our bodies and our talents and our resources to make a difference in the world. That's why we have this world as our backdrop and we're dropped into it, because this is our playing field. This is the canvas on which God's vision is being enacted with our participation. This is the platform in which we're creating the sculpture. Anyway, the point is that what we see in our world is an out projection or an expression of the consciousness and the connections that we've already made. And when we have a new potential in the world and we do not step into that, we're not aware of it, often what will happen is we will experience it as a threat. We resist change, it feels threatening to us, and we will cling to the past. And there are powers in the universe that take advantage of that, that know that and take advantage of that. So I want to talk about idol worship and the war for consciousness. Idol worship, how would you define idol worship? So most of us would think, I don't worship idols. I don't have a little thing in my, in a little shrine in my room that I bow down to. And that is one form of idol worship. But in its essence, idol worship refers to a worldview I guess one that the more we act from that worldview, the more we're stepping over that line. A worldview that sees the world as one thing and the creator as another. Now it's not our fault that we're prone to that. We are dropped into, that's the nature of that we are dropped into as souls and bodies and in this physical world. However, the nature of our reality is a war for consciousness. I know that people don't like the word war, but it's a reality. This is the way that things are created. War doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to involve bloodshed. We war with ourselves. Am I going to act based on my higher self or my lower self? Am I going to be kind or am I going to be selfish? Am I going to work on my inner triggers or am I going to react to them? That's also a war. So everything is in the form of one side against another. And through that war, we bring out deeper and deeper levels of oneness. Not to get lost in that concept right now. Idol worship is a perception, and everything that stems from that perception that as I said, that the world is one thing and God, the creator, is another thing. The true reality, which is being revealed, which needs to be revealed, which will be revealed, and this is the essence of redemption, is that there is nothing but God. Ein od milvado. I've said this many, many times. That is true within our own beings. That's true in everything that happens in our lives. It's true in other people. It's true in our relationships. It's true in anything that comes onto the world stage. There isn't anything but one. Everything that exists is God in a costume. So here's the bottom line, when we react in fear, that means that we are in a state of disconnect. That means that we believe that we're separate and vulnerable and at risk. That means that we believe that there are forces that can harm us, that are forces that are separate from the creator. Now, it's true that we have, and that is essentially kind of idol worship. And it's one that we need to work on. Again, we come by it honestly. We're all deeply traumatized from this life and our past lives. All of us have past lives. And that's why in our ancestral lines, it's in our DNA. But what do we do with it? We're in a collective and personal evolution. And there is a certain edge when you are aligned with your evolutionary path and you're consciously working to connect to that new level of you, that new level of perception, that new revelation of that deeper reality and that deeper oneness. It does give you powers that otherwise you wouldn't have, that other people perhaps don't have. And that's just the way it is. We are the imaginal cells. I've talked about this before. We are those of us who are dedicated to increasing in our imperfect ways, to increasing our divine consciousness and our consciousness in general, which is divine consciousness. The deeper the consciousness, the more divinity shows up, because that's the nature of reality. That's the nature of everything. So those of us who are more committed to that do have an edge. We are the imaginal cells. We are, in a sense, the vibrational leaders in the world. And here's another thing. There's a concept in Hasidus and Torah in general that's known as the nisayon, the test. And it's known that there's such a thing as the test of wealth. What is the test of wealth? The test of wealth is God gives you great abundance in some area. Usually we think about this financially, but it can be in any kind of wealth. How do you use it? You're tested. Are you going to use it to promote separateness, to hoard? Are you going to use it based on fear, based on ego? Or are you going to use it to fulfill your purpose, to reveal the oneness that will heal everything? So the test of wealth might mean, are you helping those who are less fortunate than yourself? Are you supporting institutions of Torah learning? Are you, promoting goodness and kindness in the world? Whatever it might be. Are you fostering the messianic vision, God's messianic vision, which is what we're living through now? So likewise, when a person has more consciousness, this is more wealth. When a person has more Torah awareness, deeply embedded and integrated Torah knowledge, this is wealth. And we are those of us who have that edge of a little bit more consciousness than maybe the average person who's walking down the street, not thinking much about what's really going on here, or reacting in fear without challenging that reaction. We can all have a reaction of fear, but do we challenge it, or do we believe in it? Do we feed it? Do we nurture it? So those of us who have the gift of a little bit more consciousness or discernment to see deeper, wanting to see deeper, how are we using it? Are we using it to make a difference in our world, in our lives, and in our world? And that is really the question. We want to pass that test. So the more wealth, the better, and then we need to use the wealth properly. So this is, again, idol worship, that belief that's based on fear, that we are in danger, and that that other people are putting us in danger, and that there are multiple forces in the world that we have to run from and hide from, and that we can't really think about our inner work now. We can't really think about God so much now because it's an emergency. That word is being thrown around so much over the last couple of years. Emergency authorization, emergency regulations, emergency, state of law. This, in a very deep sense and in a very real sense, can be categorized as idol worship. I do not mean to say that people shouldn't do things naturally to enhance their health. That's actually a law in the code of Jewish law, the Torah law. We have to do that. But from what place are you doing things in nature? The Rebbe talks about the concept of planting a seed. And from what level do we plant that seed? Do we plant that seed from the old level, the exile level, where we know that God implanted in the earth the power to grow? And when a seed blows off a dandelion head, many of us who've had lawns know this, it can land in the earth and it can grow more dandelions, and it can be not only not with your intention, it can be against your intention. It doesn't matter why, because God created this power and he had fixed it in the earth that when a seed is embedded in the earth, it has instructions and the earth will grow it, given basically appropriate conditions. But a person who has consciousness, who has divine consciousness, who has the test of wealth in consciousness, who is transforming the world, who is a frontline warrior in the war for consciousness, that person doesn't give credence to that natural law, but looks deeper, even though it exists, but looks deeper, and says, it's not the earth that's growing my seed, it's God. Why? Because we can choose in this war whether we have a relationship with God, that God's up there and we are here down here in the world, and we have to act appropriately because in fact the world does exist and God made it and he wants us to take it into account. And as the Rebbe says, that is an appropriate level of divine service, but there's a higher level. And that higher level is, I don't care that this world exists and it has laws of nature, because it's being brought into being by the divine source at every instant, now and now and now and now, like I like to say, on behalf of a purpose, your unique purpose and the purpose of the whole. And I'm going to relate to that. I'm going to relate not to the puppet and the puppet show, but the puppeteer. And as I relate to the puppeteer, yes, it comes out in the way that the puppets move, because that's part of the plan. This is the stage, like I said at the beginning. But where am I coming from? What am I relating to? And again, I'm just going to repeat, there's a massive, I'm not trying to judge or accuse anyone, because I'm there too. We're all there as humans. That's the game we're here to play. We're here to transform darkness into light. We're here to transform fear into trust. We're here to transform separateness into oneness, which means that we have to have fear. It goes with territory. There is darkness. Again, the world was created, the creation started with darkness, with the concealment of the divine light. But what do we do with that? How on purpose are we? Are we making strides in expanding that awareness? That means learning mystical Torah. I don't care what background you're from. Geula is for everyone. Torah is for everyone. God is for everyone. There is a universal Torah, which is the Torah that was given and held sacred and learned and dug into and explored and taught and applied by the Jewish people, the souls of Israel, throughout all of history. But now it's time for that Torah to be shared with the world. The world is ready. And the Torah is the blueprint. It gives us the instructions, gives us the path through. These times and this birth process, and especially the mystical Torah, which is what I share. I do my best to share. Sorry, I'm on the porch and there are cars going by in Brooklyn. And the tree does grow in Brooklyn. You see that? More than one tree. Anyway, so that's who are you going to be in this battle? Are you going to embrace the war for consciousness? Are you going to use the weapons at your disposal? When you decide to be partner with God, God is automatically partner with you. When you vibrate in a resonance of fear, again, which we all do, are you going to cower, hide, and blame, and run, and lose your consciousness? Or are you going to connect deeper to your source, deeper to yourself, deeper to others, deeper to, the plan? And then whatever choices you make in terms of protecting yourself will be holy choices, will be connected choices, will be trust-based choices rather than fear-based choices. I'll repeat again, we are meant to operate within the laws of nature, but not be bound by them. We're co-creators here. It's really noisy and it's almost Shabbos. I'm going to stop here, but think about what side you want to fight on, and let's make that happen. Now is the time. Lots of love and Shabbat Shalom.